Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Nectar deck. So I completed the deck almost, I think maybe 3 days ago or something. So it was before the last day. So today, as of filming, this is the last day to do the clan event. So those of you who still need to pull more packs, I mean I've got, let's see, we can open 9 packs here real quick, see what we get. Because this is the last day, and even if you complete the deck, you still want to do the event every day, as long as you're able to play the game, assuming that's the case. Because you just want to farm up the materials at this point, since you can't do the character fight. Which I really think that what they should do is, after the event's over, they should still do the, like, unlock the character, like Mai or Goki or Kill. They should be unlocked so that you can at least farm the crafting materials. So even if you miss out on the event, you can still build the deck. I just don't like how they don't allow you to do character fights against these characters. Alright, so let's see. The only thing I'm hoping to pull is like an SP Mano Trailing Rose, because that would be nice to get here, but... Or SP of any of the triple R, either that or Jean. Okay, so it's just a regular Mano Trailing Rose. So that's fine, that turns into crafting material. But for the deck profile itself, so you can see the list down below. Basically, what I found in climbing to Legend 50, so I currently am Legend 50. Still in the top 1,000, yeah, so I'm gonna try to hold my position there, we'll see, so I can get that SP reward. But in terms of the deck, you want to run P-Knight as a starter. It's the better starter. The other starter isn't really that useful in Zero. Like, the only thing it can do is it can fetch you, it can go back in the deck when it hits a Vanguard to fetch a 7k booster. And in playtesting, it's okay, but it's not as good in the late game. Compared to P-Knights, because P-Knight is really good at being able to put back your heal trigger Jean or a Maiden of Trailing Rose copy that you may have used early as a critical trigger or stand trigger, and then, you know, or you could even just put back the grade 2. I've often had to put one of those plus a trigger sometimes when I had to use Jean to get interceptors out when I needed them, and that came in pretty clutch. So P-Knight's pretty good as a starter. So then we run 4 PGs as expected, and then we run 3 of the grade 1. So why am I not running 4? You can run 4 if you want, but then you're going to have to run only 1 of Lady of the Sunlight Forest. Lady of the Sunlight Forest is good if you have max copies of Maiden of Trailing Rose, because she helps you potentially get the persona. She's the only way to kind of like dig through the deck, besides just to draw triggers on the draw power from Maiden of Rainbow Wood. So that's why I do kind of think that 2 of her is a pretty good number. 3 is too many. You definitely want this to be a 3 or 4 of. So it's a good booster. It's a good attacker as well, because it can fetch you an interceptor that you can like put in the back row to set up for combos later. And then for Corolla Dragon is just, the 8k is just too important. In the Shadow matchup, when they ride Blaster Javelin, you're going to want to ride this to counter him, so you can at least do a damage. Because typically P-Knight is going to go on the right or the left side. It's not going to go behind the Vanguard in most scenarios. So Corolla Dragon at 4 copies for your most optimal first turn ride is Corolla Dragon. That's why you max him out. He also helps you hit those numbers. With Iris Knight, that's 18 to a cross ride, so that's the right number. We have for grade 2s, 4 Jean, he's a must-of at 4. This is, like, if you want to play the deck competitively, you're going to have to basically max all the high-rarity cards. Just because this guy can come in really clutch at keeping your defensive plays, kind of like Night Mist and Ground Blue in an interesting way. And then 4 Maiden of Rainbow Wood. Maiden of Rainbow Wood, I've seen a lot of people running like 3 of her. 3 is definitely the minimum that I would run this at. Especially since the deck is not very counterblast heavy. This is the only thing that really will use up the counterblast. And by running this at max copies, you can run offensive triggers in addition to draw triggers. So you don't have to run 9 draw. And in the current meta, where there's a lot of MLB, you kind of want to have a chance to activate a critical trigger when you're attacking, just so that you can sort of push damage better than you would otherwise. Now, the other thing you could do is you could run stand triggers as opposed to critical triggers. I would not run both, though. It's one or the other, in addition to draw triggers. Just because you do need to draw into, like, the Persona Blast, you need to draw into, like, PGs and stuff like that could save you. So I feel like some form of crits and stands mixed with draws, like 4 crit, 5 draw, like what I'm running, or 4 stand, 5 draw. Now, I did play test with stands, and stands do help in the scenario where your opponent has a handful of PGs and they're at 5 damage. Stands do come in really helpful in that regard, but most of the time, I feel like crit triggers can just make things more simple in terms of how you play the deck. Especially if you don't want to rely on a booster being available for a stand to actually work in the late game. I mean, it's up to you. I've been able to climb to Legend 50 using this build just fine, so I just stick to whatever you feel comfortable playing when it comes to stands or crits. For the other grade 2, running 2 Erminsel, because 2 of him, yeah, I feel like 4 of him is just too, it's kind of high roll when you do that. And the other thing I've found is that when you have to ride this, you're opening yourself up to a counter rush. And I don't really like when that happens, because 7k Vanguard is bad against stuff like MLB, because they'll be able to do stuff like hit with Blaster Blade. Blaster Blade will kill the Interceptor with his effect, swing in, deal damage, then something else will deal damage because he'll just be at 12, right? Unless you check a defensive. I mean, even, you know, like a 12k, like a nullity or something could poke at him as a second attack, and then the Vanguard could go in third or whatever. So that's why I feel like this is good, and then sometimes this card just bricks as well. Like, early on, I was testing with max copies, and so many times, there'd be so many games where it was just top deck a trigger, and then I wouldn't get anything, and then when I would drive check, it would be a non-trigger. So, I feel like at 2 copies or 3 copies is probably the right number. It seems good at 4 when you think about it at first, because it's like a free card, but, you know, calling things like PGs and stuff like that on the field can happen, and it's just not that optimal, or even worse, you just don't call anything, and you're just sitting there with a 7k. So I prefer to run 3 Iris Knight, so I want to run him at 3, 2 or 3. You can go either way. You can go 3 of the Erminsel and 2 Iris Knight. I like the 10k body because it's just a lot better on the defense on the opponent's turn, because like they'll have to commit boosters to the board to try to run him over, unless they just want to attack him with the Vanguard if they're at grade 3. So I just feel like Iris Knight's just a lot better overall. It gives you more value in the long run compared to this card. And then for grade 3s, obviously we gotta run 4 Maid of Trilling Rose. Maid of Trilling Rose is your key. It's the key, I guess, poster child of the deck. Like, this is the card that you want to see in your opening hand, or you want to be able to ride this on turn 3. It can secure you a lot of wins with the Persona Blast. Assuming you check just one trigger, doesn't matter what trigger, as long as you get like plus 5k to something, and then you can build a whole new column to either wipe out an Interceptor, or there have been clutch plays where I've had to use her effect, and my other column was like Rainbow Wood or Jean plus some booster, and I put the power on that column, and then I called down, like from the Persona Blast, I would call down Laurel and Corolla Dragon, so that forms a 20k column, so that would swing into a 10k Vanguard, so stuff like that. But most of the time, what you'll do with the Persona Blast is basically put boosters in the back row, or call another Interceptor, you know, over a grade 3 that already attacked. You could potentially get a 4th attack in that turn, or at the very least you just wipe out their grade 3 rearguard or something like that. So it's a very, very solid card. It's the only 11k Vanguard, so you definitely want to run 4 of it. Next, the other triple R, Knight of Harvest Jean. You want to run 4 of him too, and he's really good as a heal trigger because you can put him back in the deck when he hits the Vanguard, and then call 2 grade 2 Jeans, which are basically Interceptors. So you can put those in the front row if you need protectors, like if you're up against MLB, for example, or you can put like one in the front and one in the back, or both in the back if it's early game, and save them for later so the opponent can't really attack them. And then I'm running 2 Avatar of the Plains Behemoth. He is good at 1 or 2. He's your alternate grade 3 Vanguard. The nice thing about him, he's a Lion Heat clone, so he can do his effect on the rearguard circle. And other than this card and Rainbow Wood, nothing really has a high counterblast cost. I mean, Maiden Trailing Rose is a counterblast of 1, but it's rare to see the Persona Blast occur. So those 3 cards are the only 3 in the deck that use the counterblast. And then 3 of the frontline Valkyria, Laurel or Laurel. This card is good against MLB. It's good against any 11k Vanguard in general because you can swing into them with her as a booster, and it works without a booster, and it works on Vanguard or rearguard circle. So this is also potentially a good alternate ride target if you don't have a Maiden Trailing Rose. I mean, there have been some games where I've had to choose between Behemoth and the Valkyria as the Vanguard, and I chose her because my opponent has an 11k Vanguard, and I know this can't hit without a booster, so that's why I prefer to run more copies of her and less of him. But sometimes this can come in clutch and do those dream combos, those classic Lion Heat combos, you know, so that's why I feel like 2 of him is probably better than just 1 of him. So that's the deck profile. Now, let me know in the comments what you guys would recommend changing. I may try stands again. I did try them early on, and I just feel like the damage output was just not as good. I mean, I like being able to randomly luck-sec the crit when you need it, and then if they don't have the PG, then they just lose. So, I mean, there's that too. And you may not have a booster. Because this, if you think about it, the crit trigger can deal them 2 damage, and assuming they check 2 defensive triggers off of that, you still dealt them the 2 damage. You didn't have to worry about having to extend your attack with a stand. So, I mean, there's that too. And I mean, it can deny resources to them if it triggers their PG when they're at 3 damage and things like that. So they can't heal in the following turn if you're at 4. There's all kinds of arguments that can be made in favor of crits or in favor of stands. So let me know in the comments what you think of the deck. We'll get into some gameplay footage here to showcase how the deck functions playing it on ranked. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Okay, so this looks like this might be MLB. Okay, so this is the premier matchup. All right, let's try to see if we can beat this guy, because MLB is usually the most challenging matchup. Okay, we checked the defensive early. That's good. So it gives us something to work with. And then we're gonna ride. I guess this. And then what I'll do. I mean, if I can try to push 2 damage here, and I probably should. You can, okay, what I've learned, when you fight MLB, you either want to push him 2, or you want to deal no damage on the first, when you attack him originally. So here, watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try something, I'm going to try a cheeky move. Let's see what he does. I just want to see how he responds to this play. So I'm going to put the heal in the back. So if he rides Blaster Blade, he has the option to kill my Knight of Harvest. Now, why he would do that, I don't really know, because I can just use P-Knight to put it back into the deck. But I just want to see what they do. Nectar does fine climbing ranked. I climbed all the way from, like, Legend 25 or 30, and I'm currently Legend 46 or 47. Now, granted, that it wasn't like a 100% complete deck. Oh, look, so he did not have a blaster. So what this means when he does this is that he already has one of them in his hand, and he just doesn't want to use it. He already has MLB in his hand, and he already has Blaster Blade in his hand. So Blaster Dark was the missing card, so he used the Trumpeter to guarantee that he gets it out. So, okay. So we are already looking at the MLB play. So now we're gonna have to get this to get those interceptors, and then let's see, we are out. 1, so I have 3 in the deck. So how do I do this? 1. Put that there. We could also potentially try to draw a card off of him. Although... do I want to try... That's kind of a high roll play. Huh. I think what I'll do is I'll just try to push him to 4 this turn, because if he checks a defensive after the knight attacks him, then she won't be able to hit. So she'll be at 18 and she's only 14, so I can't use that. So we're just gonna do it this way. So we're gonna put the heal back in. Oh, now I kind of regret not doing that, but that's okay, because we're gonna compress the deck here. So we're gonna put this one in the front row to defend, and then I'm gonna put... You know what? Let's just go ahead and... Because I have 2 in my hand already, I'm just gonna go put them both in the front row, so that his Blaster Blade will retire one of them, and he's forced to have to kill the other one. Yes, we got a critical. I wanted one of those. So now if he has the PG, it's out of his hand, and he does not have Counterblast for Blaster Blade. There, that's good, because now he's forced to use 2 attacks to my 2 interceptors, and he can't just retire one of them. So that's why the crits do actually come through, and they help you in that situation. Because see, the problem is now... Okay, so he's gonna keep 1 Blaster Dark in the front row as an interceptor. So that's actually a smart move, because that's... And then he's gonna use Wingle Brave to search his other Blaster Blade. I would say right now, things are going in our favor. I'm checking defensive triggers on... Like, I'm checking draws and heals on defense, which is really good. It's very ideal. And I'm checking crits on offense, which is good. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, though. Alright, so now we can do some interesting things if I re-ride. And that's 17. But do I want to do that? I don't think I need to do that this turn, because we want to use the Counterblast to draw a card. So we're going to go ahead and... Let's see. I could even use that booster to call out my last gene. I could use this guy as well to swing into MLB and then get another interceptor, so I can conserve the one in my hand. But let me just make sure. So 1, 2... Now might be a good time to use P-Knight, actually. Oh no, never mind, because I don't have... I won't have a booster for him. So 1, 2... And there's still 1 in the deck that I can pull to the front row with this guy, so I can conserve the last one in my hand. So I think we're going to do it that way. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So we're going to do draw a card, keep the pressure on him. Oh, and that was not a trigger, so that's good. And now we're going to swing like this. And we're going to get the gene in the front row. As another interceptor, because I saved the one in my hand. And now we're going to attack and hope we get some kind of trigger. It doesn't matter what it is. And we get the crit, so now he has to have the PG. See, it's giving him, it'll be a taste of his own medicine when he sees the crits coming right back at him. So now that's 2 Sentinels out. And we still have all of ours. And he doesn't have enough Counterblast to use Blaster Blade either. So he's not able to do the classic thing. So the crits are denying him the damage. And now he's desperately trying to search for another perfect guard, probably. I don't know. Or an interceptor or whatever. Oh wow, he drew that Ganslot off of that rest. Okay. So he only has 1 intercept here. Now I'm gonna get a taste of the crit medicine, right? Because now I'm gonna be denied the Counterblast. And he could heal down because he put Ganslot back in. I think Ganslot is one of the things that makes the MLB deck super consistent and really, really strong. Just being able to put the heal back in. Alright, so now I can't use that, so there's no reason to do that. Now, the question is, do I want to use P-Knight? Can I do something with that? I can use, again, this guy to fetch another Interceptor. I'll have to use Corolla. So we're gonna want to do that. So let's do this. So 1, 2. I want to put the crit, and I want to put this in. So now we're gonna do this, this, and it's gonna go to LP. So no, this. Ooh, that's one of his PGs out. He has Blaster Blade in his hand, though. Let's see if he's got that PG. Critical trigger. And I think that's going to be game, because he's going to need 2 Ganslots to get out of this. Alright, and that's the MLB matchup with Nectar.